Blizzard responds to Wowhead's brutal investigation. Oh, there was a brutal investigation. What is going on here? Blizzard responding, fun police, missing features, huge buffs. We know the class buffs that are coming in today. Not sure what the rest of this is. Let's see what Bellular has to say about this Wowhead investigation and Blizzard's response.
Welcome back to the Warcraft News, where Blizzard do silly things, and I get to tell you all about it. This week, it's kind of fun and spicy. We've got a promise that Blizzard might be going back on, an exciting part of the next patch being, well, a bit of a disappointment, and a hard pill to swallow that you guys actually like buggy dungeons. But for Classic Plus, some stuff cooking up that is fairly exciting and a big tease for the future. And if you find yourself struggling to keep up with the game these days, good news. I've got a whole new segment of the show.
Can I just say, as a retail Andy, I'm actually very jealous of Season of Discovery right now. Like, just watching people play the Scarlet Monastery raid, which is something I've always wanted personally. I've been saying it for a long time. I'm like, please, Blizzard, give me some more Scarlet Monastery content. Either a raid, make it part of a Mythic Plus rotation for a season. I don't know. And then I see what's going on now in Season of Discovery, where they literally got a full-blown raid, all new lore and everything, and oh man, it looks good. And the ratings are in. Everyone loves it. Damn it. I'm so jelly right now.
To help you out. But first, the broken promise. Now, there's a thing I've been doing in my personal free time that you don't know. I've actually been building
Enclave is a better raid than Undermine, probably.
And that's why today's sponsor is really relevant. They're Boot.dev. And with Boot, you'll learn back-end web development using Python and Go, which are two awesome languages that will set you up well as a programmer. And why I love Boot is actually how it works specifically. It's the vibes, the sauce, because it is a fantasy RPG where you've got quests, XP, public leaderboards, all that fun stuff. I mean, just look at the leaderboard updating in real time as users are completing lessons.
Wow.
And so much more, like, say, the spellbook feature, which is awesome. As you go through course content, you unlock more of the spellbook, which has got loads of programming reference materials in it, but all done as you learn. It's so cool. Basically, Boot's founder loves role-playing games. Big WoW gamer, by the way, viewer of the channel, and that's why it's built for people like us.
Look at that.
And of course, you're learning real practical skills here, not just programming basics. That will mean you doing portfolio projects, mastering Git, doing lots of server client stuff, and all that you'll actually need for the real job. And the best news is you get 25% off your first purchase at boot.dev/Bellular.
Nice.
And it's
use the man's
risk,
code.
because you can browse all their
Learn the
content,
code.
do their demos, and so much more for free. And when you do buy, it's with a 30-day money-back guarantee.
It's a dress
It's time
code.
to talk about Dinars. So we were told we'd be getting them as a part of the raid renown in this patch. But then there was lots of complaints, including from yours truly, that they were so late in the renown track that it didn't make sense. So Blizzard decided to pull them. But at the same time, Blizzard suggested that we would get them in patch 11.15 instead. And the proof's rather explicit. In an interview with Nagura, well, Ian said this quote, "It's going to be in the 11.15 update." So specifically, right, he was talking about them having a more kind of universal system for Dinars so that they can give them to players basically like anywhere. So the question then is, well, where are they? And by the way, if you're confused about what...
Kind of right. I haven't seen them in the patch notes. He's right. I didn't even pay attention to that, but where are the Dinars?
A dinar is basically the
Buying
idea
trinkets
was you
and
kill
shit,
a whole bunch of bosses, you'd get a token, and that token could be used to purchase something of your choice from the raid. This time round, it was going to be called...
Basically, I always used them to buy the best in slot trinkets. That was the number. I think that's the way everybody used them. I don't know. Can you purchase anything else with a dinar? Were there rings or necklaces available? It was the main way. Yeah, Sam paying attention. Nice joke, right? It was the main way to get your best in slot trinkets. That's how I always looked at dinars.
Well, the puzzling cartel
They were
chip,
good.
and it's actually in the game files. It's just not tied to any items or vendors. There's no way to get one. There are no new vendors in the patch that might sell them, and existing raid vendors are not updated on the PTR. There's also zero mention of them in the patch update. None at all, which is odd. So it looks like Blizzard has perhaps altered the terms of the deal, which has led to players calling it a little bit of a rug pull. Now, I get how, in a sense, this is massively frustrating because this season has got serious trinket imbalances, and for many players, the utility of a system like this that just lets you, after a certain amount of time, just get a bit of gear is it would guarantee you could get that trinket that you want.
Let's think about this. Why would Blizzard pull the dinar system? Time gating. Yeah, I don't know what it is lately. Blizzard is like very self-conscious about the amount of content they got out there. But let's be honest, if you have dinars, you're basically going to allow players to get their best in slot gear more quickly. So if you want people to continue to grind your raid, the best thing to do is to pull the system that basically eliminates RNG. So you get rid of the dinars, and now you're forcing people to rerun the raid over and over to try to get their best in slot trinkets. There you go. That's probably the reason they did it.
Some cases perhaps would feel that
Make
you
this
need,
content last
instead
longer.
of, say, getting frustrated just farming Priory again and again and again for the Signet and never having the damn thing drop, leaving you, of course, to just rage.
Right, or
weekly
Mythic
vault.
Plus runs
well,
over and
you
over
could
again.
at least know that with something like the Dinar, well, there would be a backup, and you'd be okay. And what's been surprising is Blizzard's reluctance to either just give us these or to communicate where their thinking is. It really is quite bizarre. They've made basically everything in WoW more generous, but they can't seem to get a simple, here's a token, have fun, system made, which is a little odd. I don't really know what's going on. Fingers crossed they're maybe trying to surprise us with something cool, new, and designed actually for the future, but don't get your hopes up.
I don't know about that.
Maybe this will be a thing for the next season. So corruptions in BFA were an absolute riot. You had the likes of, say, Twilight Devastation that was letting tanks almost one-shot raid trash. It's pretty wild. Infinite Stars turned trying to parse
Good
into
days.
something that was, I guess, just like Mario Kart.
Well, if you didn't play, it's like one of those you had to be there moments. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you didn't play endgame BFA, man, you missed out on one of the best times in WoW. Honestly, it was so broken. This shit was going. Hey, I mean, we had. You can go back on YouTube and look at the 40 or 30 man full on tank raids where they had nothing but tanks clearing the raid, and I'm talking about the current raid content. BFA was getting cleared by 30-man tank raids. It was unbelievable, and these things completely broke the game. Everyone was going full god mode, loading up on corruption and corruption resistance at the same time. I mean, it was a fun time to play the game, honestly, and it was I don't know, peak BFA was pretty good. Yeah, low BFA was bad times, but peak BFA, it was fun.
It was complete randomness, and it was not a clean
Frosty
situation.
K slashed
But what
everything,
it was
yeah.
to many was a lot of fun. It was ridiculous, it was OP, and where there's fun, there's the fun police, and this sparked off quite the news story, right? It had very much seemed that the enchants were getting at 11.1.5. The return of these corruptions were nothing but a pale shadow of what they used to be.
Right.
That at least was the news. That was what was happening. But now it's a little more complicated. After a fairly scathing investigation from Wowhead found almost all of them to be completely useless, it was ridiculous. Blizzard then quickly added huge buffs onto the PTR. And when I say huge, I mean 186% buffs to the greater versions of them.
It's not that great. We looked at the numbers. It's not that great. These numbers look huge, but you're basically increasing a lot of nothing. That's what you're doing. So, like, you think about it. If you had one Skittle in your head, and someone's like, "I'm going to increase your Skittles by 100%," guess what? You had 2 Skittles. You still don't got a lot. And so they were increasing these numbers a lot, but the numbers to start are very small. So at the end of the day, we're getting like around a 2% buff. That's what the enchant's giving you.
Which almost tripled their damage. So this did fix one.
And when I say 2%, I mean single target. It's less on multi-target. And I said this before, I think Blizzard's worried about people clearing Mythic Plus too easily if these enchants are too good.
Major problem, but Blizzard are still leaving a fair amount of fun on the table. You see, the original corruptions were outright broken. Twilight Devastation scaled with max
2%
HP.
like the milk, yeah.
And that meant that, of course, tanks with a lot of HP could absolutely obliterate mob pack. That's no longer the case. Now it does flat damage with reduced AoE scaling. To take another example, Infinite Stars, that used to stack, well, infinitely. It was really ridiculous. It would stack infinitely on boss fights. It would ramp up to just crazy single target damage, but now it resets at 6 stacks. And that does kill a part of the fun, right, of the original. Like, what made 8.3 memorable in the end was how much fun people had fooling around with corruptions once they were put on a vendor.
We got to remember, though, end of BFA was the end of an expansion. It was fine to break the game a little bit. You can't really do that right now, like mid-expansion. Give us an enchant that literally breaks everything, because the thing is, this enchant's only lasting for one season. Blizzard already confirmed that. We're getting this only for this season, and then after the season ends, these enchants are going to kind of fall off. They won't be active anymore. So it would feel bad if these enchants gave us this insane amount of power, and then they pull it out away from us for the rest of the expansion. You're going to feel a big-time power drop there. So I don't expect them to be what they were at BFA, but I expect them to at least be worth the chase right now, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to chase these things down for quite a while. It's so time-gated. We're not even getting Horrific Visions to start. We're waiting a month for Horrific Visions to open, and then we got to wait 6 weeks. We did the math. 6 weeks of grinding them out until you can actually get the Helm enchant. Damn. I mean, what the hell? Make it worth it.
so that people could just craft their character to be ridiculously broken and powerful, which of course, as games like Diablo show us, is actually really fun. Now, these versions coming in this next patch,
2% damage increase is worth it. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying 2% increase is not a good. It's not good for a regular helm enchant, but these are supposed to be, as I said before, these are shadows of what was considered to be some of the craziest shit they ever put in the game. So you expect it to be a little bit crazy, right? Not just a regular helm enchant buff.
1% damage to your character. Now they're closer to 3%.
Sam needs it. Yeah, I do.
That's not a lot. It is a hell of a lot more than 1%. It will be a good buff. It will feel pretty good. They do actually look great. They're fun. They're flavorful. But it's not a, you're going full send meme territory.
I think that's what it is, Cadence. That's exactly what he's saying. Is it's not that the enchants aren't good. They're a regular helm enchant. That's good. Yeah, fine. We'll take it. 2% buff. Nice. That's actually pretty good for an enchant. The thing is, what they are based on is something that was absolutely insane. So when people saw, oh man, we're getting corruption enchants back, corruption mechanics are coming back, we're like, oh shit, this is gonna be amazing. We're going full power again, and then we're not. Turns out, no, they're only corruption enchants by name. They're not really corruption enchants by power. That's the letdown
we used to have. So to some people, this is then a disappointing way, right? It's taking a bit of a hilarious mistake from BFA that ended up being really fun and kind of not repeating the part that actually made it feel special back then. But really, if you ask me, this is a question of identity. What is World of Warcraft supposed to be like, right? Is it supposed to be extremely well balanced? Maybe to the point where some of that design space that the likes of Diablo or other games can explore by having broken builds, where that is not really a thing. That's just not in the cards for World of Warcraft. That, of course, is going to lead to a more stable meta, right? In many ways, you could say a more competitive game. Other people would say that is less fun. Overall, with this situation, it is developing. We'll have to see what they're actually like on live, but we can at least give Blizzard some credit here. Before these hot fixes, there was only one choice for every spec, Void Ritual, and that's because it just gave stats instead of doing damage, and that just meant that it scaled better. Now, it is strong, but it's no longer 3 times as strong. And that means the DPS player should be able to pick the one that they think is coolest, or at least matches the damage profile that they want. Though if
we looked at the tier list, we still saw that Void Ritual was the best, so I'd say 90% of DPS are going to pick that one, unless somebody can cleverly figure out a way to work the other ones into a special rotation or something like that. Void Ritual is going to be the most selected by everybody. Why not save Horrific Visions for the end of the expansion, since we're basically going into the Void? Yep, I kind of agree. Had they saved these for the end of the expansion, they could have broken the game. Right, you could have opened up all the power that is enabled by Horrific Visions, and then not worried about it because next expansion, hey, it's all going to go away. We'll reset a little bit. I kind of wish they had done that rather than giving us it right now. You're right, but they're giving it to us now, so they can't really break the game because that would break the rest of the expansion. We still got about half an expansion to go through here. Actually, it would have been much better if Blizz could go back to the Azeroth necklace. You like the Azerite necklace? Really? The Heart of Azeroth? Yeah, that was okay. Although they won't. Degen's going to degen. That's true. That's always true in WoW. Degens are going to degen. So they're always trying to hold back on this shit, and I just think they held back a little bit too much here.
A tank, it's a little bit of a sad situation because Void Ritual is still the only viable option for you, and that is because of role modifier nerfs. While we're on the topic of hotfixes and buffs, this coming reset is going to be huge for some of you. Basically, it's class tuning time. So, Deathbringer DKs, both Blood and Frost are getting some solid damage buffs. The overperforming Vengeance Demon Hunters will have their Silent Sigil cut in half.
Let me just say something real quick. I pause it a lot. Look, these is Deathbringer, and this goes for all classes, but I play Death Knight, so I kind of feel this more. But I feel like right now with hero talents, it's always the hero talent people aren't using that's getting buffed, and that's, I guess, obviously Sam, yeah, because that's the one people aren't using, so it needs a buff. But I'm not. It feels bad. It always feels bad when, like, I'm playing Sandlayan right now because that's what most of us are playing. And Deathbringer is the less chosen one. And then what happens? Blizzard turns around and nerfs the one you're using.
Let us lay waste to this realm.
Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the sub on YouTube. Welcome to our Scourge. They nerf the one you're playing, and they buff the one you're not playing. That never feels good. I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but I feel like this has been the plight of hero talents. It's like they're always buffing the ones that people aren't using, and they're constantly nerfing the ones that people are choosing. And it just feels bad. Either buff the one people aren't using and keep the one that they are using the same, or just, I don't know, don't deal with it. Because this always feels like shit.
With blood
And now I got to see if it sims the other way around. Then I'll go to Deathbringer, and as soon as everyone goes to Deathbringer, they're going to nerf Deathbringer and buff Sandland. Well, what the hell?
Frost are getting some solid damage buffs. The overperforming Vengeance Demon Hunters will have their Silent Sigil cut in half, which stings, but honestly, that is really fair enough. And there's a very slight hit to their self-sustain. Boomkins then get an overall buff and some AoE nerfs to bring it back down. Ogvoker, the kind of well and truly dead spec that doesn't really fit in World of Warcraft amazingly.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
I feel bad for Augmentation. It's fallen off so hard. They want it to be more of a 50-50 split. I understand that, but just buff Deathbringer then. Don't keep nerfing the one people are choosing, because just getting nerfed feels bad. It does.
Some more personal damage buffs.
Rip Og, yeah, it's gone.
That'll be
it's
good.
Gone, boys.
Honestly, ugly, yeah. Well, not going to have its stonks going up anytime soon. Arcane Mages, Ellie Shamans, and Warlocks are getting some fairly decent damage buffs to their base spells.
Warlocks
and
looking real good.
Underperforming hero talents. And then for the Brewmaster as well, finally you are getting some very hefty buffs. Certainly nice to see. And, well, you really did need them. I mean, just take a look at these awful pick rates. Overall, it's basically neutral or good news, but that's with one exception, and that is the Disciplined Priests. You guys are getting nerf batted, so Shield, Penance, and Atonement are seeing some pretty major nerfs, and then Holy is actually getting some fairly chunky buffs. Finally, Paladin Healers are getting a tiny bit of love on their passive healing, and Mistweaver is losing a chunk of their absurd lightning single target damage, which is basically fair enough. Not massive changes, essentially it's just Blizzard trying to fix up some outliers. And speaking of busted, I think one half of the player base probably thinks the other half have got busted brains. Blizzard, well, they gave us a choice of what dungeons we'll get in the next season. The question then is, do we just love the Arathi that much, or are people just wanting strong trinkets? So Blizzard threw up a forum poll to decide what the next war...
Yeah, a lot of you guys were mad when I showed these results. They were like, why did people vote for this shit? I don't know. People like Priory because of the
dungeon season pool is
the way it looks.
Here are the results. We have collectively vetoed Arakara, Floodgate, Priory, and Dawnbreaker. Maybe we all just love the Arathian spiders that much, but realistically, I think we all just like good trinkets. So get ready for Season 3 to be Sackbrood, Seaphorium, and Signet Grinds. Have fun. The Dawnbreaker is there as well. I think people just really like that one because it goes hard and it's really cool. Even if, yes, high-end Mythic Plus players do kind of...
I just don't like the to me, Dawnbreaker starts out great and then it finishes real fucking weak. I hate the rest of this. Right after the ship part of it, I don't like Dawnbreaker anymore.
I hate it for the bugs and the awkwardness of the last boss. People just kind of like the vibes, and honestly, yeah, it's totally the one that I would have voted for purely because of Rule of Cool. Realistically then, since any player can vote in the forums, this probably is a good selection of the most fun dungeons. City of Threads and...
I wonder if people had bots vote for this shit. You never know. I just say...
Stonevault
Man, Dawnbreaker is the best shut up. I like the look and the feel of Dawnbreaker. I just don't like the post Dawnbreaker diving off the ship and pulling the shit, and then the final boss fight, how janky it is. And that Priory I love too, actually. I love them for what they are. I just don't think they're the best Mythic Plus dungeons.
Who, for example, do make sense, and I have to imagine Blizzard will keep that
but then
in
again,
mind
I guess
when
my
they're
experience is
designing
lacking
the
this
next expansion's dungeons. But there is a curious global difference, so all of this broadly tracks for both NA...
Yeah, same here, but I remember, Arakara, people love Arakara, but Dawnbreaker, look at the difference in Dawnbreaker here and here. Yeah, pretty big. I don't know what it is EU loves Dawnbreaker so much. Do it on a 14. You know what? Maybe that's my problem. Maybe because I was doing it like on a 4 and a 6. I think the highest I got was in that season was 10s. I did some 10s. But overall, I think maybe it was people's inexperience. After the ship, I would go down to pull shit, and then people would fly in fucking opposite directions and fuck everything up. For me, the dungeons that are always the best as a tank are the ones that are very straightforward. Like, here's the path. You got to pull these mobs. There's only one way to go in this hallway, and everyone's going to go the same way. Those are the easiest. After that, when there's choices... DPS, especially in low-level tanks, completely fuck shit up.
And EU, but there's a fun little thing. Why do NA players love Dawnbreaker so much more than EU, who actually put Dawnbreaker below Floodgate and Priory? I don't know why. If you're an EU player, why do we hate it? And hey, if it's America, is it just, big airship? We're gonna pump on some like Created Clearwater Revival, go shooting boys from a big, helicarrier bomb thing. Because honestly, that's kind of sick. Season of Discovery,
no
and hey,
codes, yeah.
if you are a retail Andy like I am, actually do listen. This is real interesting. So over in the world of Classic, Phase 8 of Season of Discovery is out. People are working through the new Scarlet Enclave raid and all the stories attached to that. And interestingly, Blizzard dropped a video. It's called What's Next? And it's a series of quick pieces to camera from the Season of Discovery developers, but there's a major through line here. Everything that they say just sounds like they're talking about Classic Plus. They say their philosophy is to continue developing Classic like it was at the time, not just how the game released, but the ideas behind it. And while they didn't say it outright, the Karazhan Crypt's darkness mechanic where players needed a torch to see, well, that was a very early planned feature for World of Warcraft. It was a
Dark Flame Clef. They have the Dark Flame Clef mechanic in Classic. That's what this is.
part of survival skills, which was something that Blizzard ended up just axing from the game. But it was cool to see its sort of re-inclusion. But what matters the most is the end of that video, because, you see, we've talked about how Blizzard's communications say Phase 8 is the final chapter, the end of Season of Discovery, and we've heard how they also don't plan to shut down the servers. But at the end of this video, they say this, and I'll quote them directly. Our team has some really amazing things planned, and we can't wait for you to see what else we're working on. Look, I don't know. Call it.
Here's the thing. If they go Classic Plus, I think it would be a big mistake if they left it as the title of Season of Discovery. I think they should change it to Classic Plus, and that alone, marketing-wise, will just build so much hype. People will blast their fucking pants off. They won't even know what to do with themselves. Season of Discovery, fine, it is what it is. It was discovering new parts of Classic. That's cool. But if they're legitimately adding on this entirely new part of Classic, they need to change the name to Classic Plus. Just for hype purposes.
Hope. And I think Season of Discovery is about to become a lot more than just a season. I don't think we'll have to wait that long to find out what that could actually mean. Next, the final word in Classic, though it's not really Classic because it's Mists of Pandaria. The MOP beta signups have just went live. Remember, the Mists of Pandaria...
more players will play than retail? I don't think so. That's always like a freaking misnomer. I think people get the numbers wrong, honestly. I think retail will always have more players. But do I feel like a lot of people will play Classic Plus? Yes. And do I think a lot of people will play both? Hell yeah, I think a lot of people are going to play both. When there's downtimes and retail, they'll go play Classic Plus, and when Classic Plus is lacking a little bit, they'll go back to retail. That's what probably a lot of people are going to do.
Pandaria Classic release date is set to be before July 29th. That basically means beta testing is going to be happening very soon indeed, and you've got to maybe 3 months
we'll see how far they go with
level 85. And hey, if you don't have the good old Presbyterian work ethic to get that done, don't worry. Blizzard will of course sell you a boost in a big epic pack or something like that. But okay. What do you want to do in WoW this week? Here's the thing. Over here, we've noticed that actually knowing what's going on in World of Warcraft each week has become a little bit of a travesty. Is it a Spark Week? Will there be a Catalyst charge? Will there be a raid buff? Is the event actually worth doing? What am I missing? Well, those are all answers that involve a whole bunch of Googling and things, so welcome to the newest segment of our show, which is basically, what the hell do I do this week? Let's start. Right now, it is the 4th full Spark week, and that means that by now you should be able to craft 4 bits of gear, or of course, 2 bits of gear plus 1 2-handed weapon. Now, if you have been doing your tier 11 delves for Gilded Crests each week, or been working higher Mythic Plus, you should quite easily have 60 Gilded Crests. That's what you will need to craft an item level 675 weapon, or, you know, any bit of gear. It's a seriously high item level, so I'd recommend doing that. Basically, these will be the best items you're ever going to have unless you're a Mythic Raider or are happy to do Mythic plus 10s.
This is wrong. This is wrong. The best gear coming from crafting? I mean, what the hell, man? What, the World of Craft, that's what we play now. World of Craft. I kill a boss on Heroic, and I can't get the same shit that fucking Andy playing with a campfire, smoldering away at some fucking metal can make? What the hell? Where's the lore behind this? How does this fit the lore? I don't understand. I think retail is a silent majority. Yeah, I agree.
And just wait on Vault luck basically forever.
What's up, Rob?
If not, remember, you can get a free Enchanted Rune Crest from doing Gallywix in story mode, and you'll get another one of those from 20 Undermine Renown. Of course, if you've been doing like your weeklies and some world quests, you should at least be very, very close to there by now. Over in the world of the Catalyst, there is no new charge, unless, of course, you have got the bonus from Keystone Master or Curve. If you've got that, you'll have 4 charges. If you've not got that, you will have 3 charges. That's not quite enough to get from, say, 0 to 4 set, but you're pretty much almost there. This week, then, the Raid Renown cap hits 7. That means that after a few kills, you can get yourself another extra 3% damage and healing buff. Though you might want to watch out. Our raid leader Matt bullied us into not unlocking that thing, so we could at least say that we defeated Galliwix without it. We basically just lost it in phase 1, and we met the DPS checks that way fairly easily. It was a fun kill, and honestly for us, it ended a really, really fun tier. Now, the other weekly thing to do, of course, is the event, and it is a weaker one this week. It's Arena Week. If you win 10 skirmishes, you'll get a stack of Conquest and Honor, and this one does feel a little bit weird compared to the other ones that give us loot. Maybe Blizzard should look at that. Next reset then, we will hit a real big breakpoint though. We will all have 4 Catalyst charges. That means that any of your alts can get a full 4 set as soon as they find pieces good enough to catalyze. That will massively accelerate your gearing and your power. And continuing into next week, we'll just be getting another half spark, so no more gear crafting just yet. And the Raid Renown will go up to 8, and that will let us pick up the Thunderous Misfire Rocket.
Nice.
The next week's event also will be the World Quest bonus one. That'll give you an extra 50% rep from World Quests, and the reward is a full level of Renown, which is pretty damn handy, but I wouldn't worry that much about it. Renown is going to be doubled whenever patch 11.5 launches as a part of the big boost event that Blizzard are running. Okay, that's it for the news.
April 22nd, Winds of Fortune, gonna kick your all your reputation grinds up a notch.
Going forward, we'll try to keep these weekly reminders in at the back of the show so that you basically always get to know what's happening right now and what to expect for the next week. I would have covered the major buffs and nerfs too, but a few weeks into the season, we just really don't have that many of them. They're starting to dry up for basically everybody except for the usual Mythic boss nerfs. Now, if there's anything you'd like to be reminded of in this section of the weekly, of course, do let us know. And if you want to know why WoW's patch day as a notion may be changing forever, watch this video next.
Yeah, nice video, and unfortunately, the response from Blizzard when it came to the enchants is just, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's a normal enchant. It does what an enchant should do, but you just thought when we were getting these corruption mechanics back that it wasn't going to be a normal enchant. That was the letdown. Good video from Bellular.